Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Talking Heads. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Talking Heads is our platform for experts from around the world who come and present on their own show for 30 minutes. With us today, we have the wonderful Keegan Daly, who not only is a Talking Heads expert, but she's also an elevated listener. What that means is that you need to reach out to her personally and professionally, because she provides a safe space to listen, and she also is an expert in her many fields. Let's bring her onto the program. Hello, Jean.
Hello, Dr. Jacqueline. Hello, everyone.
Excited to have you back again today, Jean.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back. And today,
right. Yes, I'm going to spotlight you and let you have the rest of the program to yourself. I'm really excited to watch. I'll be taking notes backstage.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So hello again, everyone, to all of you who are viewing this and all of you who are listening to this. Welcome. This is my fourth presentation of 12, and every single presentation that I do on this wonderful platform is to help you to understand how you can be your very best self. There are many, many ways that I can help you to be your very best self, because I've been doing this for about 45 years and making myself better and better all of the time. So today I am going to talk about the fact that everything begins with a thought. So when I just said to you that I've been spending the last 45 or so years making myself better and better, what I really mean is learning about myself, learning who I really am inherently. And that really fits into my talk today about thoughts. Every single thing begins with a thought. No matter what we see, no matter what we utilize, no matter what we how we are behaving, what we're involved in, everything begins with a thought. Now, I've talked before during the first 3 shows about energy. Everything is energy. That is proven. How you view energy, for example, this computer, okay, is the way that the energy vibrations or the frequency of the energy is compacted to make the computer that's in front of me a solid thing. However, when you take it apart, and this is proven by quantum physics, take it apart, you see that it's all energy. They're atoms and molecules and particles. So that is true also with our thoughts. Our thoughts are energy. Every single thing in this universe, including our bodies and everything we see or can even think of, is composed of energy. Now, because our thoughts are energy, they can be either stuck in our minds so that energy is not moving, or energy is supposed to move so we can change the thoughts. First, we have to become aware of our thoughts. So how do you do that? If you remember, I had just spoken briefly before in one of my last shows, thought is followed by a feeling. Feeling is followed by a behavior or an action. And repeated again and again, that becomes a habit. And a habit forms an attitude, or sometimes vice versa. First you have the attitude and then you have the habit. So going back to a thought, sometimes we're not even aware what our thoughts are. And if we don't know what our thoughts are about a particular something, then we look at our behavior about it, or we look at our attitude about it, or we look at our feeling. So, for example, I have a thought that, for example, I am learning more and more about how to utilize computer, how to utilize the media. It's not what I grew up with at all. There wasn't any such thing when I was growing up. And my thought sometimes is, I don't know how to do this. So I could stay stuck there, and that can become a feeling of nervousness, anxiety, and really putting myself down. I just don't know how to do this. If I change my thought to, well, I haven't up until now known how to do this, yet I am learning. Every day I am learning. That changes my feeling. Oh, I become hopeful. I become interested. I become more relaxed. Along with that, my behavior changes. So instead of feeling like I'm never going to learn this, or it's too hard to learn this, and my behavior is stressful, my behavior is, I put the computer up and I just feel like, all right, I have to do this again. That's not helpful to me. So if I think to myself, up until now, I haven't known much about how to utilize the computer. Up until now, I haven't known how to uh, work with media. Up until now, I haven't learned technology in the way that it's moving forward all the time. Yet, I am learning and I'm willing to learn. Then that changes my feeling to more confidence, more relaxation, and it changes my behavior. So when I sit down with the computer, I'm like, oh, okay, this is another opportunity for me to learn and to practice. And then that changes my attitude. So you can apply this to your own life in so many ways. Before I give another example of that, I want to talk to you about how thoughts relate to your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. So sometimes when we have a certain thought, followed by a feeling, followed by a behavior, followed by action, or behavior or action, followed by an attitude, and then that becomes a habit, that goes into our unconscious mind. We end up not really realizing what the thought was in the first place. We end up not even realizing what started that thought in the first place. So the unconscious mind is like a storehouse. It's a storehouse of every thought, every action, every feeling, every situation that has ever happened in our lives. And because we are all connected, as I've talked about before, energetically we are all connected. Energetically, we have DNA that is part of our parents. We have DNA that goes back to our ancestors. Then sometimes our thoughts come from habits that other people had and perhaps ingrained in us when we were growing up. So here's another example. When I was growing up, I was the oldest of 6 children, and money was very tight. So my attitude when I was young was, we can't afford this, because I heard that a lot in my home. And that was the reality. My parents struggled very much to take care of us. My father worked 3 jobs sometimes, and we managed very well. We had food to eat, we had our home, we had each other. Yet I grew up in those younger days believing that not only couldn't I afford something, but I had to work really, really hard to get anything that I wanted. Over the many years that I've been studying, prosperity consciousness, poverty consciousness, I have learned that that thought of hearing money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford this, which some of you may be able to relate to, especially if you're older like I am, then, or coming from grandparents who went through the Depression and instilled that feeling into their children, and then my parents instilled that into us, not intentionally trying to harm us in any way, but that was the reality then that they saw. So when I think about that thought, if I ever have that thought now, I think, does that really belong to me? That I can't afford something or that I have to struggle. And really, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the past. It belongs to believing that to be true because of what I was taught from people who loved me, yet that was their reality then, and I picked it up. Because I have choice, which I talked about in past episodes, we all have choice at every single second. I can choose to recognize that and choose to change that because I recognize that comes from my unconscious mind and I have made it conscious. Now, if I make that unconscious thought, unconscious belief, unconscious old patterning from the past, if I make that my present, then I'm telling myself really I have no choice, and that's not true. So when I consciously say, does this serve me? Does this thought serve me now? No, it doesn't. Because, as I've said before, the universe really is abundant, and we are a part of that universe. There are many, many, many aspects of us that are part of, in fact, our core is the center of who we are, and that core is our spirit. That core is our creative process from which we can expand our life because the universe is cooperating with our thoughts. So, paying attention to what your thoughts are and challenging yourself by saying, does this thought really help me? Does it help me to be who I choose to be? Does it help me to be who I want to be, who I strive to be? I have choice to change that thought. There are so many, many of there's so much of what's going on in the world right now where it appears as though we don't have a lot of choice. And yet, we do. We can choose. If I watch something that is very upsetting to me on the news, which is happening right now, I can choose to stay upset and have the thoughts is, oh my goodness, there might be a war, tripping over my words, there might be a war. I can stay with that thought, and then the feeling is fear, anxiety. Does that help me? Does it help anyone? No. So I can change my thought, and I offer this to you to consider. I can change my thought by saying, yes, this is what is happening right now. What can I do to help in my own little sphere of the world, in my home, with my thoughts? I can think and I can project thoughts of peacefulness. I might not know how that's going to help. I might not know when that's going to help. But I do know that somewhere, somehow, that will help because I'm coming from my spirit. I'm coming from my truth. But that is what I wish. That is what I desire. That is what I feel is something I can do with my thoughts. I can think thoughts of peace. I can think thoughts of cooperation. I can think thoughts of love. I can think thoughts of um, making a difference in what's happening. I can think thoughts that will change my feeling, and I can project that thought and that feeling onto whatever I'm seeing that has been distressing. We have a lot of power. We all do. We have a lot of power inside of us if we come from the part of us that is true. So, whatever has been in the conscious mind that has not been helpful to you or to me, remember that we have the ability to change that consciousness. We can raise that consciousness. We can think about what it is we're going toward. Are we going toward growth? Are we going toward love? Are we going toward peace? Are we going toward understanding? Are we going toward harmony? How do we get there? It all begins with one of my very favorite songs, which some people say is a hymn. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. How it can begin with me, how it can begin with you, is becoming conscious of your thought. And if you don't know what that thought is that caused the feeling that you're having right now, that you are aware of, change the feeling by creating a new thought. So sometimes when I'm having a feeling, like say, of anxiety, or you're having a feeling of anxiety, or you're having a feeling of fear, and you don't know what brought that on, what you can do is create a thought that will comfort you, create a thought that will release that fear, release that anxiety, even if you don't know what the thought was that started that. So that can be through going out for a walk, going into nature, things I've talked about before, breathing, breathing consciously, long, slow breaths, breathing out the fear and breathing in what it is you want, peace, what it is you want, calm, breathing out the anxiety, even if you don't know where it's coming from, because it's probably coming from something in your unconscious mind that you have experienced before or heard before. And I am very grateful to have received an in-depth training for a protocol called One Brain Stress Diffusion, or some people call it One Brain Integration, that helps the right and left halves of our brain to be synchronized. So the frontal part of your brain, on your forehead, behind your forehead, I should say, is your frontal lobe, which is your conscious mind. That's the part of your brain that makes choices. That's the part of your brain that can have a conscious thought where you realize what you're thinking. The back part of your brain, at the base of your skull, is what's called your reptilian brain. That's your fight or flight category of your brain. That's also the part of the brain that is unconscious. It just instinctively feels fear, feels anxiety, and it can be something that you experienced long ago in your childhood. For example, when I was working with the One Brain protocol with clients in my private practice, people who had difficulty studying, for example. I had a woman who was in college when she was in her 30s, and she felt very afraid to stand up in front of the class and read anything. And she really put herself down for that. And when I worked with her and took her back to the age, this is through muscle testing, took her back to the age where this all began. It began when she was 9 years old, and she was asked to stand up in class in fourth grade and read something, and she stumbled over the words. And several kids made fun of her. And that happened again, and it happened again, until it became locked in her mind that she couldn't read. And the real issue was she needed glasses. So when we cleared that energy that was stuck in her unconscious mind, cleared that, she had the choice to make a different thought. The thought was then, I am good at reading. I can read well. With or without her glasses, she needed to be confident in herself that she was not a failure. She was not stupid. So you see how the energy of something in our unconscious mind can affect our behavior, our feelings, even when you don't remember. And she did not remember that. Her body remembered that. Her body remembered that. And when her body showed us that something happened at 9 years old and it was in an area with other people, that's when her unconscious mind kicked off the memory to her conscious mind. And she actually started to cry. She was that little girl crying. Now she was the adult who had the choice to make a difference in what she said to herself. So our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior and our attitude to become a habit need to be synchronized. Thinking a thought that I am able to do this. And sometimes what comes up might be, no, you can't. No, you can't. You've never been able to do this before. You can then choose to say, up until now, I haven't been able to do this. However, right now, I am willing to learn. I am willing to do whatever I can to become more confident, to become more knowledgeable, to become more relaxed. Because every single time you do that, you become aware of the thought, and you know that it's not going toward what you want, you have the choice to change that thought, which changes your feeling, which changes your behavior or action, which then creates a new attitude and creates a new habit. So it's really, really important to pay attention to yourself. And it's actually part of self-care. It's actually part of becoming the best you can possibly be. And that's so important because all of us have that ability. We can look around our circumstances and say, oh, I can't do this, I can't have that. Or we can say, up until now, I haven't been able to. Up until now, I didn't know how to. And right now, I can decide to learn. I can open my mind. And there is a wealth of information and experienced people who can teach you how to reorganize your thoughts. And yet, I'm offering to you that you can right now, since I only have a little bit of time to share this with you, you can right now pay attention to what is it you're thinking or what is it you're feeling. And does that take you to what you want, to your goal? What is your goal? Is your goal to feel comfortable? Is your goal to feel calm? Is your goal to feel happy? Is your goal to help others? Which we always have the opportunity to help others. But first, think about a goal to help yourself, to become who you truly are, which is a wonderful, valuable, worthy, spiritual being having a human experience, here to learn and grow and experiment and experience and create of all opportunities. The opportunity to create is probably the best gift I know that we have from our Creator, from the universe, from the cosmos, from the being that we truly are. Create your thoughts. Become aware of who you are. Does this belong to me? Is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be thinking? Is this what I want to be feeling? And if you're having difficulty with diminishing the feeling, then do something physical. Do something physical. Go out and run. Go. I had one client one time who banged on her piano. She knew she had to have a piano tuner come in and retune it. But that was her outlet. She banged on her piano to get out her anger because she felt stuck in a certain situation. And that released the energy of that. And then she was able to put into her thoughts and into her feelings that which she wanted: peacefulness, a different attitude, one that would help her, and to forgive herself. We all do need that. You have the ability to learn from all of your, what you might call failures and mistakes. Nothing is ever a failure because you always can learn from that. You always grow from that and choose another thought. Choose to be consciously aware of who you are, consciously aware of how much power you have to create what you want and how to help others with what you want. To bring peace and love and joy and hope and gratitude to everything. That's what's going to help this world. And the people that choose not to do that, you can disassociate yourself from those people without judgment. They are where they are. But you have responsibility to yourself. Responding. Responding, meaning choosing what you want, how to live your life with consciousness, with changing your thought, which again changes your feeling, which changes your behavior. And if you can't think your thought, remember, look at your behavior. And if your behavior is one of being very angry, get that anger out by yourself in a safe way. I can talk about that later on, about how many ways to do that in a safe, constructive way. And then breathe in peace. Breathe in what it is you want. Breathe in your own divinity, your own beingness, which really has in your core love, unconditional love. So, thank you for paying attention. I just want to show you, this is the behavioral barometer chart. I don't know if you can see it. This is one of the wonderful resources from One Brain Integration, that we all have choice. And no matter how we feel, remember who you are. So you can say, I feel angry, I feel upset, I feel conflicted, I feel grief, and I am one with my Creator. I am able to change my thoughts. I am able to take care of my emotions. And before we end, I just want to share with you my book, which is, if you can see this, Reflections of a Seasoned Soul by Keegan Daly. That's me. And there's more of this, everything that I'm talking about in these 12 weeks, more of that in my book. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Thank you, Jean. Great presentation as always. And just to let our audience know, all of your designations: Jean Keegan Daly, holistic health registered nurse, educator, counselor, therapist, Reiki healing master, author of Reflections of a Seasoned Soul, and certified dream builder life coach. Thank you so much, Jean. I took a bunch of notes and I'll be sharing it with our elevated listening community. So it's a pleasure having you here, and I wish you the best, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. I love being here.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We really appreciate it. Please do reach out to Jean. We're coming right back with another Talking Heads, which is our Talking Head feature is Mariska Duprier. So stay where you are. I'm going to run to the other studio. And thanks again. Great job, Jean.